This climactic part 3 demonstrates that macroevolution is impossible using Darwin's own criteria. It's time to go in for the kill. A quick recap for those who jumped over part 2. Evolutionists believe that we start off with a simple cell, something like a bacterium, which doesn't have lungs or brains or anything of that complexity, and then we apply macroevolution. What is macroevolution? Well, they rely on many mutations, which are basically copying mistakes in the DNA molecule, lots and lots of time, natural selection, which collects together all the beneficial mutations, and natural forces like wind and rain and gravity, and evolutionists then believe that that process can produce the organism that we see, the human organism with the heart and lungs and brain and reproductive system and visual system. Now, the key thing to note is that Darwin, my handsome little buddy over here, made it clear in his book on the origin of species that macroevolution is a slow and gradual process. That is a key attribute of this particular system. Here is charming Charlie Darwin, and here is his famous book on the origin of species, which is the Evolutionist Bible, published in 1859. Very few people have had enough endurance to read the whole thing, but I persevered to the very end. Now, I won't bore you with the details, but I want to point out to you a key section on page 158. Let me magnify that up so you can read it for yourself more clearly. And it says, if it could be demonstrated that any complex organ existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous successive slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down. But I can find no such case. Darwin said that he could not find any organs that could not be formed by numerous slight successive modifications. Charlie was pretty smart, but here he missed the obvious. Let's see if we can help him. What about the male reproductive system? It has over 30 components that are all needed simultaneously at the start, otherwise you get no babies. If any one of these components is missing, you don't get a 10% reduction in babies, you get 100% reduction, 0 babies. This is a fatal flaw in macroevolution. What good is a penis without a urethra or a scrotum or any one of those 30 critical components? If any one of them is missing, you get complete and total loss of function. All the reproductive components are needed simultaneously at the start. How can a slow and gradual process produce an organ that has multiple components that are all needed at the start? What will natural selection do to an organism that has partially built organs that are not fully functional? This is a fatal flaw in macroevolution. But wait, there's more, much more. What good is a key without a lock, or a lock without a key? You need them both. Similarly, what good is a male reproductive system without a complementary female reproductive system? You need them both at the start. Can you imagine a male organism stumbling over his useless penis for millions of years before finding a compatible female? To believe that natural forces and unguided processes could produce both the male and female reproductive systems at the same place and at the same time is nothing short of absurd. This is clearly a fatal flaw in macroevolution. Perhaps now you can better understand why Dr. John Sanford, geneticist and co-creator of the gene gun, said, quote, "The bottom line is that the primary axiom of macroevolution is categorically false. You can't create information with misspelling.